Today we're on to welcome Rita Dickinson to the show today. I'm very excited to have her on. She talks about energy and frequency, right? Basically, the things that are foundational to making our life that we actually want to, right? Because we don't have the energy that we don't have the frequency, right? How are we supposed to build the external world if we're off internally? And it's all about taking control of our inner world with these tools that she knows about, and she's helped many people actually heal from this, right? Heal from a wide array of modalities. Because ultimately, if we're talking about sickness and imbalances, like it really starts with the inner world, and that's what she talks about today. Is getting the root of the issue. So I'm very happy to have her on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Anthony. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So very curious to hear your story, how you got into wellness and energy, frequency, all these things you're doing today to be of service.
Well, thank you. Um, I have a very passionate story because I had 23 surgeries, and the doctors just kept telling me that, including a hysterectomy when I was only 19 years old. Uh, and then scar tissue started developing and wrapping around my intestines. So they started removing parts of my intestines. And then what happens when you cut? You get more scar tissue. And until I discovered an herb called chickweed, chickweed dissolves scar tissue. And I took it. Herbs work. They don't work as quick as a medication does most of the time because they're food, basically. They're not going to hurt your body. So I took the chickweed, and after about 6 months, I wasn't feeling the pulling and pain in my gut anymore. Um, and I've never had a surgery since. So that is an amazing testimony. Um, I got into frequency healing about 9 years ago with a PEMF device, and I was amazed at that because you'd put somebody on the mat and you would turn it on, and it would increase their flow in their circulation tremendously, to where we actually had people that canceled amputations from diabetes because the circulation had increased so much they didn't have a problem anymore. So that well, I actually got started in frequency with essential oils almost 30 years ago because essential oils work by frequency. Did you know that?
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, those are amazing.
Absolutely. And, our frequencies are so messed up nowadays because we've got Wi Fi and we've got the 5G towers and we've got our cell phone in our pocket. And all of these things disrupt our energy and our frequencies. Well, when your frequencies are not right, then wellness can't exist. So things start weird and changing. And um, what I do is I use a program, a software program that anybody can use. You don't have to specialize in quantum physics. All you need to know is how to push some buttons and which buttons to push. But our software heals, not heals, but balances all of your emotions, your chemistry, your function, all of your body systems and hormones. Then we have other frequencies that we can send specifically into the body for instance, I had a gentleman come in one time and he was having a lot of prostate pain that wrapped around his back. And I said, well, give me your wedding ring. And he gave me his wedding ring, and I imprinted prostate problems and acute pain. And within 15 minutes, he looked up at me and he said, how did you do that? I said, how did I do what? He said, the pain is gone. That's the power of frequency. Now, is everybody going to experience something within the first few minutes? No. Every body is different. I had a person that wanted to get rid of shoulder pain, but everything on the reports was showing that the frequencies were working on his heart, his liver, his kidneys, his lungs. And that's more important for life than a shoulder. So, you may not see the things you want to see right away, but I will tell you this software saved my life, I believe, with all my heart. I was diagnosed in March of 21 with a lung condition. Um, I couldn't catch my breath. and my blood pressure was going up like crazy. It went all the way up to 258 over 238. And I remember standing in my living room saying, God, I don't want to die. I don't want to die, you know? So my girlfriend showed me this frequency stuff. And honestly, I didn't feel anything the first time I got scanned. But the next morning, I went upstairs, which normally I would have to stop and catch my breath. I realized I forgot my phone downstairs. I went back downstairs. I went back upstairs. And all of a sudden it hit me. Oh, you just went up the stairs twice and you didn't stop and catch your breath. So in March of 21, they had told me, unless you get a lung transplant, you'll be dead in 1 to 3 years. Well, that's a scary diagnosis, you know? And so I just keep using the frequency. And what are we, 5 years out now? And I'm doing great. So
Wow. Yeah.
it's wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for sharing that. It's a great story. I mean, sounds like you originally got into it like for with herbs, right? It's like kind of like, and as you mentioned, it's like these things work, but they may not work right away because it's something that it works with your body in a sense, right? Like with drugs,
Correct.
like I mean, drugs. What a lot of people don't know is that they come from the earth, they come from plants, but they chemically alter them and they like modify it in such a way that it's an isolated effect, but has all these side effects. So it's kind of a very interesting point.
Exactly. And, you know, God made the herbs a certain way. And they can't patent an herb. So what they do is they try to figure out what component of this plant does the job. So they'll take this component and that component and another one, and they take them out and they make a drug that they can patent. But
Right.
it's not the whole plant. It's not the whole herb. You know, it's like milk thistle. Milk thistle is so good for a liver. It will help regenerate your liver will regenerate. Okay, and the fatty liver and all this stuff that people are being diagnosed with, milk thistle helps tremendously. But you need the whole part of it, not just one component. So I find that fascinating that it's all about making money for the pharmaceutical companies, the drugs,
Yeah.
and and that's not good for us.
Right. I mean, they have their place, right? But it's like we want to be more careful how we use these things. Just be more, nature first in a sense, that type of mentality instead of like a drug first mindset.
It's what we eat. You know
Yeah.
the old saying, you are what you eat? It
Right.
is the truth.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you're eating junk, your body's not going to have the tools it needs to rebuild and restore. But
100%.
if you give it certain things that are natural, it will help you in all kinds of ways. Now, I got into herbs and then I got into massage therapy and I learned iridology, which is the study of the iris of the eye, sclerology, which is the study of the white of the eye, and I've done so many different things. Uh, the frequencies with the oils, essential oils, um, the PEMF mats, the uh, the frequency software that I use, and it's amazing the things I have seen. I've been using this frequency software for 5.5 years, and I have seen some amazing things happen. Amazing
Yeah,
things.
for sure.
So I love it. I want everybody to have that tool where they can do it themselves. And, you know, I've got a website, frequencydiva.com, and it explains how it works. And I can scan people all over the world from my house or my office to anywhere. I've scanned people in Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines, Hawaii, Europe, all over Europe. And it's amazing that people go, well, how can you do that over the phone? I'm like, because I create your profile with your name and your birthday and your height and your weight and your picture, and that's your phone number. It's like, Anthony, if I call your phone number, Brad Pitt's not going to answer. Okay. So, you know, we take it for granted what's in the use of radio waves, when we tune in the radio to a certain station, that's frequency. Telephones work the same way. It's frequency.
Yeah.
So, frequency, you feel it when you walk in a room and oh, that couple over there in that corner, they've been fighting. Oh, that couple just fell in love. You can sense the frequency that they're giving off. And animals and children really pick up on the frequencies because they're not taught not to yet. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I always said I wouldn't mind dating a man that didn't like dogs, but I would never date a man my dog didn't like.
Right.
It's true. They know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the nutrition piece, it's not just you are what you eat, but it's what you are what you ate, right? Meaning like whatever the soil grew in, the plants, like what they're consuming, the animals, like so it's just be mindful of these, what we're the source as well, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, with my frequency software, it sends 177,000 perfect health frequencies into the body. And the body responds by going, oh, thank you for reminding me what I should be doing. And it changes. And in the reports, it measures your body where you're at according to these frequencies. And then when we optimize and send the perfect frequencies into the body, then it responds with changes that you can see immediately on your reports. It's wonderful stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, you had mentioned essential oils. If we can't talk about that just a little bit, it's like because those are so like incredibly powerful tools, right? And it seems like you've utilized those. It's like in terms of frequency, it's like what have those done for you, and like what can we learn about those in terms of energy and healing?
Well, your body's frequency, when it gets under 40 hertz, that's when sickness happens, and below 25 is death. Okay. So, rose oil has the most high frequency. It takes 50,000 rose petals squeezed to make 1 drop of rose oil. That's why it's so expensive. But when you think about it, what were roses are given to people and they smell them and it makes them feel better. So it even just the smell of roses uplifts the frequency of the body. So there are different essential oils for different things. Lemon helps clean out the liver. Um, I use peppermint and ginger when I'm doing massage because the peppermint helps with nerve pain. The ginger helps relax the muscles, and it's wonderful stuff. And I love the oils. Now, they don't all smell pleasant. Most do, but not all of them. But it depends on, what you need. I do kinesiology and I do muscle testing and I can figure out what's good for a person's body. What the body wants, the body will tell you what it wants.
Right.
You just got to
Awesome.
ask it in the right
That's
way,
right.
you know.
Yeah, you got to be able to listen to these signals that our bodies are getting off. And a lot of us, we're not able to do that very effectively because we have a lot of static online, right? So many distractions, and it's hard to tune into these things. It's a skill.
Exactly. Exactly. And I've just discovered a new thing. I call them the drops, okay? And the drops are amazing. There are 1 out of 8 people now that are into taking these shots, these semiglutide shots, that are destroying the gut, destroying the health. I'm glad to see the lawsuits have started because they're horrible things. Um, one girl I know actually had a friend that was taking a certain semiglutide for a year and went blind. So, I mean, but that's the desperation people have to where they want to lose the weight. They don't want to be overweight, but we're being poisoned by our food, our water, our air, the drugs, everything. And so the body doesn't really have a fighting chance, so to speak, because it's trying to get rid of all these toxins. And it's absolutely fascinating. These drops make your body make GLP-1, GLP-2, GIP. They and it's all natural. It's made from salmon, lemon, ginger, and water, and it's microdosage. So even if somebody was allergic to salmon, they could still take the drops. It gets rid of inflammation. It gives more energy. It balances blood pressure, blood sugar, um, helps heal the gut. Even if somebody's been on those shots, you get to keep your muscle and lose weight. A lot of the people on the shots are looking gaunt because it's destroying their muscle as well. So, it helps better sleep. And the number one thing, everybody has inflammation. Everybody. I don't care who you are. You have inflammation. And when the inflammation starts going away, oh, it feels wonderful. Wherever there's inflammation, there is pain. Okay. So when you're hurting, like I had a problem with my hip until I got on the drops. And is it completely gone? Not yet. But guess what? Within the first 2 hours after I took my first dose of 5 little drops under my tongue, my hip pain lessened. And I mean, I was to the point, Anthony, I had to lift my leg, physically lift my leg to get in and out of the car. And that's not a good way to live. And I feel so much better now, and I'm happier. And I'm not sure if the drops are making me happier or if I'm happier because I'm not in pain all the time. you know, it's probably a little bit of both.
Right.
So I love helping people with this stuff because it took me a long time to learn. I mean, I started in this on this journey back in 1983 with learning about herbs and progressing my. I love to learn. The more I learn, the more I can help people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Working with nature and giving the body what it needs for sure. Are you familiar at all with Northern Lights black spruce oil?
Yes.
Yeah, it's so good. It's like harvested right under the Northern Lights, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's incredible. Very high frequency. So you also were talking about things that disrupt our energy frequency. So like you talked about EMFs and things like that. Like what on your mind is very disruptive, like in the modern world, that we should be aware of?
Um, there are people that are practicing natural healing that say turn your Wi-Fi off at night. You'll sleep better. Because when we're inundated, I mean, we're living in a bowl of frequency soup. I mean, when
Right.
you really get down to it, we've got the EMFs, we've got the cell phones, we've got even your ceiling fan or your air conditioner in your car is giving bad frequency to you. So you add it all up, and how do you have a chance? You know, you got to fight back. And my frequency software is how I fight back for my own body. So
Right.
I think it's amazing. You know, you can get frequencies even from a person. If they're an angry person, you feel it. If they're a happy person, you feel it.
Yeah.
So frequency is everything is frequency. That's what Nikola Tesla said. If you can learn about frequency and vibration, you'll have the answers to the universe.
Right. It's such an important point, right? Because on so many things that can be disruptive to our energies, and a lot of times we're not in balance. It's being aware of these things so we can actually, you know, do what we want to calibrate these things in a way that we're more in alignment, right? Because we don't understand, like, we don't have a lot of energy and all these things, and there's so many like disruptions within the environment. If we start to be more aware and start to make intelligent decisions, we're just going to start to feel a lot better. We don't even realize it.
Let me do a little PSA on kidney dialysis. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a girlfriend of mine. She was taking her mother to get kidney dialysis, and the mother was in her early 90s. Okay. So my friend is in there one day watching all the young people coming in and out of the kidney dialysis place. She asked a nurse, "What's going on with all these young people here? I thought kidney dialysis was just for old people." And the nurse said, "I've been doing this 30 years. And the problem is now everybody's drinking Red Bull, monster drinks, shots from Starbucks, coffee, 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 coffee all the time. And it's messing up people's kidneys. It's not worth it. You think you're getting some energy, but it's fake. It's like it's fake energy. So, caffeine, we know caffeine's not good for us, but we people do it anyway. I personally don't drink coffee. I'll have a cup of tea every now and then, but um, and I'm in the South, so we have iced tea, but yes, energy can be disrupted in many ways. Our own thoughts are the number one problem. Okay, when
Wow.
you when you think negatively, your brain starts to rewire for negativity. Okay, physically, it's neuroscience. But when you think and look for the good in everything, your brain starts rewiring to look for the good. So if you can just start with that and focus on good, it makes you happier, it makes you healthier, and then all of a sudden your brain is starting to program. It's like when you get a new car. Say you just got a new red Porsche. Now all of a sudden on the road, all you're seeing is red Porsches. You know, that's reticular activity in your brain. So when you start focusing on the good, your brain starts finding the good everywhere, and that really helps you.
Yeah, it's a incredible point right there. I mean, so thoughts really start to create a reality in a sense. And it's just so powerful to start to take control of and be aware of, like, in your experience, like, what role do those play in terms of healing? What is the power of our thoughts, and how can we actually start to take control of that in a sense?
Well, you know, um, that's a very good question because they've done all kinds of studies and can't really figure it out. But people that believe they'll get well, get well. People that don't believe it, don't. And what makes that
Right.
difference? Our own brain. And then there's other things. Um, I used to laugh at tree huggers, but then I found out there's really something to that. Trees put out energy. In fact, the roots of trees go from tree to tree to tree. So they send messages. You can actually do what they call forest bathing, where you go lay in the forest and the energy there helps your body. Cats, when you have a cat and the cat sits on you and purrs, that's a frequency that's designed to heal your body. I mean, it's magnificent, the different things that all work together, you know?
Fascinating. Yeah, actually take a walk in the forest every morning. It's very healing. It's a great thing to also, like, get your mind right and just kind of contemplate things.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
get out of the rat race and the hustle and the bustle. And I've even got a device that, you feel really good when you go to the beach.
Yeah.
It's because the waves produce negative ions
Right.
and also because you're usually barefoot on the earth. We don't go barefoot on the earth anymore. We're wearing rubber soles, we're walking on concrete, we're not touching the earth. So you feel really good at the beach, but that's only like 100,000 negative ions coming off the waves. I've got a machine you sit in this chair, and the thing goes over your head, and it produces 1.4 million negative ions. And when you turn it on, your hair kind of goes poof and then it goes back. And then you feel the energy coming into your body with these negative ions that is remarkable. And it's very healing.
Yeah.
Negative ions are good. Magnets are good. We are electrical, magnetic, um, biological beings, and it all works synergistically.
100%. Yeah. Just to elaborate for people, like, negatively charged ions, like, those are the what you get when you breathe, like, moving air, right? Going outside, as opposed to, like, breathing in the stale processed air we breathe in all the times indoors, right? It's like this dead air, and is you're breathing in that energy. It's very energizing to the air, right? It's very important
Right?
to become aware of these things, right? And getting connected to the earth, that, as you mentioned, actually produces negatively charged electrons, right? And
Yes.
getting connected to the earth, it's like it's a requirement for biology. It's like just like real food, sleep, nutrition, like all these things, they come in together, and we don't really think of these things in terms of like
And
energetic
water,
medicine,
even water.
right?
Most people don't drink water anymore. They'd rather have a cup of coffee or,
Yeah.
and they need water. Your body is made of 85% water. And there was a Japanese scientist, I can't think of his name, starts with an
Sorimoto.
M. Yes, he did those experiments with water where he spoke negatively to this water and positively to this water, then put it under a microscope and you could see the difference. It was phenomenal. Well, our bodies are water. So doesn't it make sense that when you speak good things over yourself, it's going to make your water better?
It does,
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, very interesting to think about, right? And we've been connected to Earth like 24/7 for the longest time. And then just until recent times, we've been disconnected. So it's like we don't really think of that as an input, but it really is. Like just do what you can to be outside as much as you can, be in nature, because your body really needs it.
I know. Who would have thought shoes would be a conspiracy theory?
I mean,
So the
yeah,
other thing is sunlight. You need sunlight. My mom used to ask me, how come you don't wear glasses? She wore glasses from the time she was 5. My dad got glasses when he was about 40. And I'll tell you what, I don't wear sunglasses. Very rarely, only if I'm driving on a road trip, and I'm facing the sun and the visor's not working, I'll grab a pair of sunglasses. But
right.
your eyes are the opening to your liver, and you need that energy from the sunlight into your body to make it work right. So your body is healing with the sunlight.
100%. I mean, yeah, sunglasses have their place sometimes, like if you want to look cool or whatever. But for the most part, you need the sun through your eyes. Like they actually contain 70% of our photoreceptors, and it's not just about like getting sun in our skin, but it actually sets your circadian rhythm up as well, like your hormonal clock. And it's like
Yes,
very
it
important to
does.
actually get these things, get these inputs. Sunlight is so important, and unfortunately, we've been taught to be afraid of the sun, and such unfortunate reality to this thing that gives life to the planet.
And I'm a redhead. I'm very fair skinned, and I burn, excuse me, I burn more when I wear sunscreen than when I don't.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I've stopped wearing sunscreen because I thought, okay, this doesn't make sense. I don't understand it completely, but I know what my body does. I know I can't be out in the sun very long, because I will burn. But um, I love the sun. And it's so good for our bodies to get that vitamin D naturally like that. You can take a vitamin D supplement, but it's not the same as getting your body to get it from the sun and make it yourself.
Yeah. I mean, sunlight is like so critical, right? Just for so many different things. It's like responsible for ATP, regeneration of cells. Like it's very important to understand. Like it's not just about you know like spending a whole lot of time in the sun, which it's more so about gradual exposure, right? Just being able to be connected to these things, and
Correct.
just being able to do as much as we can, and we start to feel better once we start to get these inputs. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Well, you hit on something a little bit ago when you were
Yeah,
talking about breathing. You
yeah,
know, breath work is so important.
right.
Most people breathe very shallow. You know, we're supposed to breathe in our nose and out our mouth. The mouth is the opening to the stomach, the nose is the opening to the lungs.
Yeah,
Something to think about. So you've got to make sure you're breathing in and out. You've
yeah,
got to, there's all kinds of YouTube videos on breath work you can do on your own, and look that up. You can find breath work practitioners that do classes that teach you how to breathe using your diaphragm and not just your upper chest.
for sure. Yeah, and the thing about sunscreen as well is like those have actually been shown to cause like skin cancer in of itself for the most part, right? So it's like very ironic. I mean, there's natural ones out there, but for the most part, we're doing like these chemical uh, baths with them, and it's like,
Right.
yeah, it's unfortunate.
And fluoride.
Yeah.
Fluoride is horrible stuff.
Yeah.
It calcifies your pineal gland. Well, that's our instincts, is our pineal gland, our intuitive processes. That's so important. And you should have a filter on your shower because your skin is actually your largest organ. So when you're
Mhm.
showering in the fluoride, so what? You're drinking healthy water. But if you're showering in the fluoride, it's still getting into your body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, the other thing is aluminum. There's aluminum and fluoride in toothpaste, and these dentists that want to do fluoride treatments on our children. That's horrible. In fact, it wasn't fluoride that helped cavities. It was actually a chemical called fluorine, but
Hmm.
they hid that from people and put fluoride in the drinking water,
Yeah.
and that's not good.
Right.
But then there's aluminum in the deodorants people use. Look for a deodorant that doesn't have aluminum in it because that's not good for your body. So, I mean, you can use hydrogen peroxide and baking soda, or even just a little water and baking soda, and use that as a toothpaste. But there are now toothpastes out there that don't have fluoride in them.
100%. Just to clarify for people a little bit more, like there's two different types of fluoride, right? We have the calcium fluoride, which is more of the natural type. Like we actually find that in certain places like food and water, but sodium fluoride is what we're talking about here, which is like originally
Correct.
developed as a pharmaceutical drug to actually suppress the thyroid, right? It's very interesting. It's
Correct.
like now it's everywhere. It's like in the water, it's in dentistry, and it's like there's a lot of evidence showing how toxic it actually is. And
Oh, and how many people are on thyroid medication?
yeah,
But they're never going to think to blame it on the fluoride.
yeah. I mean, there's
They're
a lot of
they're
factors
blaming
there,
their
but it's
own
definitely
thyroid.
it, right? Yeah, crazy. And breath work, like you mentioned that a little bit more. Like if people want to learn more about that or get started, like is there any starting places they recommend there?
Well, I actually know a breathwork coach, so
Wow.
he's amazing. But like I said, on YouTube, if you just go to YouTube and search breathwork and just practice with these people that are on YouTube, it's
Yeah,
free.
for sure.
You know, why not? Or find a breathwork practitioner in your area, and a yoga studio would know someone like that.
Yeah.
Um, Stretching is good, yoga is good. Um, Walking is the best exercise. You know why?
Wow.
Because your lymph pumps are in your ankles. So when you're walking, you're pumping the lymph. That's why it is so good.
Yeah, we think about doing these crazy workouts, but walking is the number one thing that we're actually meant to do. It's so healing, so restorative. We just need to get those steps in, be out in nature, and the lymphatic system, as you mentioned, like unlike our circulatory system, like the lymphatic system only gets activated when you move, right? And we have like 4 times more lymph than we do blood. So we need to actually get that movement in over a consistent period. So it's an important point you mentioned.
And people say, what is lymph? Well, if you ever got a blister, that's stuff in the blister, that's lymph.
Hmm. Interesting.
And your lymph right on your collarbone, right here, are some points that help open the draining of the lymph.
Yeah,
So,
incredible. Yeah, and it's like another thing I can utilize, and it's like uh, a rebounder, like those mini trampolines are great. So great for
yes,
circulation, lymph flow as well, like jumping.
it's working those lymph pumps in the ankles because you're just bouncing a little up and down. That
Yeah,
pumps the lymph.
for sure. You had mentioned heavy metals and like these microplastics, right? All these different things are environments, like these environmental toxins, just messing up our energies. It's like it's so pervasive because they're in everything, and we have to be more mindful. Because unfortunately, like it's harder to be healthy in today's world than it is to be unhealthy. So it's like being healthy is unfortunately not normal in today's world, but we just have to stack the conditions in our favor. And we have to be more vigilant to these things, and well,
Exactly.
it's have to work harder at it in a sense.
And you're worth it. You know,
Right. Yeah,
your body will thank you, and it
yeah,
will thank you by responding that you feel better. I'm one of my only friends that isn't on a bunch of drugs, you know? And it's like,
Right.
um, it's sad to me to see
Yeah.
where we've gone. And and I'll tell you, I'm not a fan of vaccines. When I was a child, there were 6 shots from 0 to 18. Now there's 77. Okay, that's ridiculous. And every one of them uses mercury as a preservative.
Yeah.
Well, that's not good for your brain. When I was a child, 1 out of 15,000 had autism. Now it's 1 out of 24 girls and 1 out of 12 boys. And
Hmm.
I think it's from the vaccines. It's just too much poison. However, I'm working with some autistic children and I'm seeing tremendous results with the frequencies. In fact, um, I have a very special story about a little boy, 8 years old, came to me. The first time I scanned him, I did his voice, and he barely would talk, but his dad got him to say it just enough that I could capture it. And my software makes music for you to listen to that balances your emotions. So he's sitting in the chair right by me at my desk and looking at my computer with me, and I turned his music on. Usually you listen to it with earbuds or earphones, but I didn't want to come after him with anything physical, you know? So I just played it out loud. He literally tried to climb into my laptop to get closer to the music because he thought it was so amazing. Um, After the second scan, he's now dressing himself.
Hmm. Wow.
That's huge. On my website for Frequency Diva, the second video down is the story of a little autistic boy that, after using the frequencies, um, is no longer suffering with that.
Wow. Yeah. There's so many different things. We just got to be aware of it, right? And what I find is that once you start to heal the body, your mind starts to get better as well. You start to think differently. You start to open up your world to different possibilities, and it's just so fun in that process, and having a curious mindset as well.
Absolutely. And we don't know what we don't know.
Right.
You know, you got to be open enough to say, okay, I'll look at that. I'll check this out. Okay, what about this? What about that? Instead of just going, no, no, I'm set in my ways. This is what I'm doing. You know, don't try to change me. You know, all these things that people go through that, you know, misery loves company. And
Right.
miserable people don't like to be around happy people either. They'd rather be around other miserable people so they can commiserate together. Well, what does that do? That just reinforces those bad thoughts in your mind. And that reprograms your brain to being bad, you know, being miserable. You know, we have so much depression nowadays. When, like you said, a walk in the woods, being out in the sunshine, going to the beach. I mean, it's amazing what nature does offer us, but we stay in our little cocoons in our little houses. And you know, used to be houses weren't built perfectly. They're still not, but they're a lot tighter now than they used to be. So 100 years ago, houses allowed fresh air to come through the cracks. We don't have that anymore. So you're
Hmm.
right. The air gets very stale. You should have some kind of air filter in your house. Um, like you said, it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and learning to be healthy.
Yeah. Having like a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset, right? Because we just stuck in our ways. We're so used to ways of being, and we get stuck in these paradigms, limiting beliefs, whatever it is. But we start to have that growth mindset. You start to take action on these things. Actually, live the life that you actually want to, right? Have an open mind, and that's where you actually start to be on purpose, right? Live with integrity and be of service. It's so key to actually understand that.
Right? And you know, my mantra, I guess, would be you and you alone are responsible for your health. Not your parent, not your child, not your spouse, not your doctor, nobody else but you. And you make those decisions. You don't let anybody else force you into any kind of decisions. And you know, when you follow the money, Anthony, it's all about the money. And um, I wish I'd have been in the room when Rockefeller said, "Look, if we put white coats on the doctors, everybody will respect them more." I just, you know, 100 years ago, it was not okay to be a bad guy, but what the bad guys did was they would give money in the form of grants to places. So the Rockefellers started giving it to um, medical schools, saying, "Now we'll give you all these dollars, but you're going to teach what we want you to teach." And do you
Right.
know now a doctor only has 2 hours in nutrition?
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah.
In their whole, what, 8, 10 years of schooling?
Sad.
2 hours.
Yeah. And it's not even real nutrition. It's like it's based off like these nutrient deficiencies, like oh, if you have a like to prevent scurvy or whatever. It's not like anything. It's not like eat real food or anything like that.
And our food pyramid has been upside down. And now I am glad to see they're trying to make changes to put the fruits and
Right.
vegetables up front. I always tell people shop the perimeter of the grocery store. Don't go down those middle aisles. That's where all the junk is. So shop your fruits and vegetables, your dairy, your meats, although, and then sometimes frozen foods, frozen vegetables and fruits are sometimes even more nutrition is in them than in the fresh ones,
Hmm.
because the fresh ones have sat in a gassed room for a year. Or,
Yeah.
the frozen ones, as soon as they harvest, they flash freeze them. So it locks in the nutrition. Something to think about. But what
Yeah.
you really need
Good
to
point.
know about right now is meat. The meat, oh my goodness, they're doing the cell grown, lab grown meat now. And they're not putting it big on the label, but you can find it if it says, cellular. Uh, Look for these certain keywords, about growth. You don't want lab grown meat. You want it from a real animal. You know, I recommend you go to a butcher, you know, or find a farmer that would let you put a cow on their land and you could split it with a couple of neighbors, and put it in your freezer. Um, Grass fed beef is always the best, instead of grain, because the
Right.
grains have all been manipulated to the GMO corn and all this other stuff that's why people can't eat it anymore.
Right. Yeah. There's some awesome points there. It's like I mean that lab grown meat is terrible.
It's a scary, scary thing. It reminds me of an old movie called Soylent Green, you know? And it's like, that was Charlton Heston's best line in any movie he's ever been in. Soylent Green is people.
Right.
So, we don't want lab grown meat. We need fresh meat.
Hmm.
And that's another myth that meat is bad for you. No, you need the protein. You need the fats. Oh, low cholesterol this, low cholesterol that. No. Guess what your brain is made of? Cholesterol. I've had
Right.
doctors over the years ask me, when they do any blood work on me, how is your good cholesterol and bad cholesterol ratio better than anyone's I've ever seen? And I say, "You want to know my secret?" They say, "Yes." I said, "I eat fat. Give me a good ribeye any day. Eat that fat. I mean, not big chunks, but the fat that's marbled into the ribeye is healthy for you."
Yeah.
So when you get the right kind of fats, you know, um, your body works better.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, to clarify a little bit for people on cholesterol, it's like we hear so much that it's bad, right? And it's just, so it's not the clear picture at all, right? Of course, it can be no harmful in certain circumstances if like high amounts of inflammation or high amounts of blood glucose, you can kind of make the cholesterol kind of oxidize in a sense. But the reality is, we need cholesterol. It's so important. That's we don't hear the other side of things. Like our brain is so critical for our cell membranes. And going back to the sun, vitamin D, like the UVB spectrum of the sun interacts with the cholesterol in our skin, and that just kickstarts the process of vitamin D. So it's these critical points, right? And it's more so about the ratios, like with LDL, HDL, and it's we want like 1 to 3 ratios of HDL to LDL, uh, and essentially it's more so about how our lifestyle interacts with these things, right? If we have high amounts of inflammation, it creates something called VLDL, or very low dense lipoprotein. This is the oxidized form that gets caught in our arteries and things like that. So it's not cholesterol itself, it's more of our lifestyle and how we interact with it in a sense.
Guess what helps that inflammation? These little
Yeah.
drops.
Yeah. For sure.
Really does. Amazing.
Yeah.
I had a friend when I first started taking the drops. She laughed at me because I almost tripped and fell because my shoes got big because the swelling in my feet went down. And I really try to eat right and do right and all this kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
we all have inflammation because, like I said, we're fighting a war against our own health and our own bodies. And
Right.
you've got to be um, having your tools to fight back.
Excellent. Yeah. There's one more thing that's you mentioned PEMF before. It's like pulse electromagnetic frequencies, right? It's a
Correct.
it's very good therapy. It's a going it kind of like it's magnifying what the earth already does in a sense. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I absolutely will. So when you go barefoot, you should stand barefoot 10 minutes a day on the ground,
Right.
barefoot, not on concrete, not on your driveway or your sidewalk. Get on the grass, get in the dirt. And, you know, um, that's why if you're walking a dog, they don't like to be on the sidewalk. They'd rather walk along next to the sidewalk on the dirt. They know, you
Yeah.
know. Okay, so a PEMF mat, what that does is it gives you that same energy that's from the earth, but it's like on steroids.
For sure. Yeah. So, because all of us, like, especially like, I mean, snow is conductive, but like if we're in the winter months, it's like these things can be great tools, right? It's nature first, but then technologies can be excellent. Like we have the grass, we have the beach, like the sand, like all these things are conductive as well. But as you mentioned, the concrete is not necessarily conductive. So just being aware of these things and how to do it is cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So when it comes to your software, is there anything else you want to bring to people's attention? Anything on your mind
I
we should know
just
about?
want them to know if they'll contact me on my website, frequencydiva.com. I can either scan them and give them an opportunity to see what it feels like. They can also get signed up to have it for themselves, where they can have the software themselves and they can use it every day. That's the ideal. Okay. I mean, that is the ideal way to do it. Uh,
Okay.
because you want to balance I mean, your emotions can be balanced right now, but you go out and you get on the road and you see a car wreck. Well, that messes with your emotions. So you need to rescan every day, listen to your music because it knows. So you want to balance emotion, chemistry, function, and all your body systems. And then there's other things. We've got the tuning forks as part of the software. We've got the Bach flower remedies and the Australian flower remedies are part of the software. So I can click on flowers, I can hit scan, it'll scan me, it'll select which flower remedy I need. I can take a little shot glass and put some water in it, set it, flip my laptop upside down or use an iPad or the phone and put the little water on top, erase the energy that's in it, and imprint it with that frequency of that flower. Then you just drink the water and you've got the remedy.
Awesome. Yeah, it's incredible what technology can do. It's like these things do work. Like they have a lot of valuable things that we just got to be aware of these things. Just do some experimentation, right? See what works. And there's lastly, I wanted to touch on. You were talking about the Flexner report, right? It's the Rockefellers, and it's back like 100 years ago. It's like how that all started, right? And natural medicine was more so the norm. Like that's what we were taught to do in a sense. Like it was normal to like use herbs and everything we're talking about here. But then like
Yes,
then they flipped it. It's like, oh, this is how we can make money, right? This is how we can actually utilize the oil in a sense, and that's how it all started.
that's what companies made their drugs from was oil products.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it has its place, but we just gotta work on with our biology and nature first.
Absolutely.
All right, Rita, this has been really awesome. I appreciate you so much today for coming on the show, sharing all your insights, your stories, and there's so much we can be aware of, right? It's like we're talking about energy frequencies. That's like the base, of reality. But then we can go like, what is actually made from that? We can talk about hormones, transmitters, like everything that makes up our biology and wellness, our thoughts, all these things. It's like
Yes,
they all work together in synergy. And once we start to be more empowered and work with our natural intelligence, that's how actually feel alive and live life that actually we actually desire and be on purpose and be of service. So it's been really fun.
I also believe in chiropractic. You get an alignment on your car. Why not get an alignment on your body? Because when your nerves are not being pinched, then they're giving the right energy to your different organs and different parts of your body as well.
For
So
sure.
that's an important thing too.
Yeah. So if we want to get connected with you more in your work, where can we go?
Frequencydiva.com. My email's there. You can send me a message. You can ask me anything you want to ask. So I'd be glad to
Awesome.
help.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Anthony, for having me on today. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. A lot of fun.